Well, hello and good morning. I just wanted to bring a couple of quick stories to you. The first one being that South Korea has scrambled dozens of fighter jets after more than 100 North Korean aircraft massed near the disputed border between the two nations today. Seoul sent 80 jets, among them F 35 stealth fighters. Now, that was after sensors picked up 180 of Pyongyang's aircraft massing inland and off the east as well as the west coasts. It is just the latest in a spiral of tit for tat escalations between the rival Koreas that earlier this week saw them fire missiles close to each other's territorial waters. North Korea is furious, and the joint U.S. South Korean aerial drills were taking place on its borders that it believes are a rehearsal for an invasion. Washington and Seoul say the war games are defensive and in response to a flurry of North Korean missile tests that they fear will end with nuclear tests. So, this is a Reuters photo. I guess that's the F 35A, I think. I don't know. You guys have to check me out on that because it doesn't say. But nonetheless, it goes on to say that, quote, our military detected around 180 North Korean warplanes mobilized in Pyongyang's airspace. This is from Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff, they said, adding that Seoul's scrambling of 80 fighter jets included the F 35As, while jets involved in the joint drills were also maintaining readiness. Shortly after South Korea announced the decision to extend the joint drills on Thursday, Pyongyang launched three more short range ballistic missiles, calling the move a very dangerous and wrong choice. Hours later, the North fired 80 artillery rounds that landed in a maritime buffer zone, Seoul's military said. The barrage was a clear violation of the 2018 agreement that established the buffer zone in a bid to reduce the tensions between the two sides, Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff said. Now, the artillery fire came after Pyongyang fired about 30 missiles Wednesday and Thursday, including an intercontinental ballistic missile and one that landed near South Korea's territorial waters for the first time since the end of the Korean War back in 1953. Now, the U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin described Pyongyang's ICBM launch as illegal and destabilizing, and Seoul and Washington vowed to pursue new measures to demonstrate their determination and capabilities against the North's growing threats. Experts and officials have said that Pyongyang is ramping up its tests in protest over the U.S. South Korean drills. Washington and Seoul have repeatedly warned that Pyongyang's recent launches could be a precursor to a nuclear test, which would be its seventh. Now, Pyongyang has called the joint air drills, dubbed the Vigilant Storm, an aggressive and provocative military drill targeting North Korea and threatened that Washington and Seoul would pay the most horrible price in history if it continued. The North's latest launches come as South Korea is in a period of national mourning after more than 150 people, mostly young women in their 20s, were killed in a crowd crush in Seoul on this past Saturday. Pyongyang's provocations, especially during our national mourning period, are against humanity and humanitarianism. This comes from Lee Hyo Young, a vice spokesperson at Seoul's Unification Ministry. They said this on this past Friday. Now, the government strongly condemns North Korea for continuing threats and provocations, citing our annual and defensive drills, raising tensions on the Korean Peninsula, she said, blaming the current tension on Pyongyang's reckless nuclear and missile development. In addition to extending Vigilant Storm through Saturday, Seoul's military announced that the annual Taegik exercise, which focuses on improving wartime transition performance and crisis management, is going to be held instead next week. The computer simulated exercise will be carried out to strengthen the ability to carry out practical mission capability and preparation for the various threats, such as North Korea's nuclear weapon missiles and recent provocations, it said. Now, there's another story that came out this morning, and I wanted to bring that to your attention as well, and it's dealing with the Spanish airport. A lot of us may have heard about this, but this is what's going on. I'm going to pull that story up for you as well as I say good morning to everyone. Good morning. Okay, here we are. Now, the Spanish airports, there are several of them that are now closed. There are several Spanish airports that have closed their airspace because of an out of control Chinese rocket. Flights into and out of Barcelona, Tarragona, Ibiza, Reus, as well as there's a couple of other places, Rioja, as well as Castile and Leon. Now, they have all been grounded with reports of other regions, which do include the ones that we just mentioned. Now, the measure is expected to last for around 40 minutes, although local reports are pointing to the possibility that places like Ibiza could be affected for up to 3 hours. Very curious, right? It's big, big, big things about to land here to the earth. Now, it goes on to say that a spokesman for Catalonia's Civil Protection Agency confirmed that due to the risk associated with the passage of the CZB-5 space object crossing Spanish airspace, flights have been completely restricted from 9:38 a.m. to 10:18 a.m. in Catalonia and other communities. Airports and other organizations have already been informed, they say. Spanish air traffic controllers tweeted, Eurocontrol has informed us about the non controlled re entry of a Chinese rocket into Earth's atmosphere. Rate zero has been established for certain parts of the Spanish airspace, and it could affect air traffic by way of delays and diversions. China launched the third and final piece of its new Tiangong space station on Monday, and warnings had been sounded about the rocket's 23-ton body coming back down on Earth, with Spain identified as one of the countries in its path. Some air passengers are understood to have been informed about the Spanish airspace closures after they had already boarded for takeoff. And of course, this is a breaking news story, as you see down below here, and it says that more will follow. Very unique. I hope that all is well out there. Good morning to all of you. Good morning, Sandy Aaron. There is broadcasting, and there is Elias De Leon as broadcasting again. All righty, you guys, thank you so very much for tuning in. For Headlines with a Voice, this has been the Lockhart News Brief.
The Lockhart Perspective.